I want to change gears a little bit and nerd out in a different way, which is the main topic for the week, which is Sora 2. So it's funny. I was literally in the middle of watching the announcement video of Sora 2 when you sent me a text message from Casey Neistat that says something like, "We're so cooked," or something like that, right? And I just want to kind of back things up a little bit because I don't know. Do you know about what has happened over the last week that led up to Sora 2 happening?
Nope, I have no idea. But just to explain to anybody that doesn't, because I didn't even know what Sora was until today, because I saw the Casey Neistat post. AI generated video has been getting better and better over the last year. I think famously, Grok and Imagine, that was kind of pretty groundbreaking. But Gemini has their own thing. What's Gemini's?
Right now, I think they've done like Nano Banana, which is their image one. They also have VO, which is their video one. So,
right.
Yeah.
And then Sora is OpenAI's ChatGPT one, right? So that's all I know. And I know I've been saying for a while, I want to talk about receipts. I've been saying, hey, this is going to challenge creators. And I really do believe it's going to put some creators out of business.
I want to talk to you about your experience using some of these AI tools later on, if you're okay with that. And I want to hear more about what you say about that in a second. But let me back it up and just kind of give you the story here. So last Thursday, on September 25th, out of kind of the blue, this really hit me, on the side of the head. Meta, Facebook, Zuckerberg's company, right, announces a new feature on the Meta AI app called Vibes. Did you hear about this at all?
No.
So Vibes, I'll just go ahead and read from the press release. It says, today we're rolling out the next iteration of the Meta AI app, including an early preview of Vibes, a new feed on the Meta AI app and on meta.ai, where you can create and share short form AI generated videos. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Vibes is designed to make it easier to find creative inspiration and experiment with Meta's AI media tools. As you browse, you'll see a range of AI-generated videos from creators and communities. The feed will become more personalized over time, and if something catches your eye, you can create your own video, remix what you see, and share it with your friends and followers. Let me translate. If you open up the Meta AI app, they had a feature before that was like an Explore, almost like the Instagram Explore page. But now they've replaced that with a short-form, swipeable, basically Reels or TikTok feed. It looks exactly like it. There's a short form video, vertical content. It's literally like short form content. You scroll through to go along it. It's algorithmic. It has a comment section, a retweet section, a share button, and a like button, literally along the side with a description on the bottom. And the only difference between this and like the Reels app, for example, is that it's all AI generated content. The entire
I did not know that.
The entire thing. It looks exactly like Reels. So let me continue because I can tell you got something cooking, but it brings us to the weekend. The people start playing with this and they get pretty excited about it. Even people who I've seen as traditionally kind of skeptical of AI, they're sort of like, oh, I can see where this is going. By the way, Mark Zuckerberg for a very long time has been saying this is exactly what he wants to do, an entirely AI generated feed to the extent that they can do possibly, right? Whether it be ads or content or et cetera. And people are reacting very positively. I can pull up some articles about it later, but people are wondering, well, where did this come from? What's going on here? Or something like that. And so lo and behold, this week, today on September 30th, so 5 days later, OpenAI streams the announcement of Sora 2. So like you said, Sora is their version of these AI video generators that all these other companies have, right? And let me read from the Verge article about it. They say, OpenAI has a new version of the Sora AI video generator that it launched at the end of last year, and it's arriving today alongside a new social video app that also called Sora for iPhones. The currently invite-only app resembles TikTok, with a feed of videos that you can shuffle through. But instead of encouraging people to stitch together duets, it asks you to record short videos that anyone can spin into new AI-generated deepfakes with your consent. I'll get into that more later. In a briefing with reporters on Monday, employees called it the potential, quote, ChatGPT moment for video generation, end quote. The Sora app is currently only available in US and Canada, with other countries set to follow. And when someone receives access, they also get 4 additional invites to share with friends. There's no word on when an Android version might be released. I want to get your initial reactions. I have a set of features that come with this because it's not just the app. But the point is that Sora looks almost exactly like the Meta AI app, the Vibes app, that they just announced the other day. Short form feed, algorithmic, AI only content, like button, share button, remix button, comment button, and a video description. It's exactly the same.
And if you have the app, you can create content too.
If you have the app, you can create content too. Do you want me to go through some of the other features? Because that's probably one of the more interesting pieces of this.
I just thought it was like some software on a computer. I didn't know it was a platform.
It is a full platform. In fact, there was rumors a while ago actually that OpenAI was going to make their own social feed, and people were like, "Oh, it's going to be like Twitter because it's like ChatGPT, right? There's text." Well, of course not. They have video generation and image generation as well. So why wouldn't they go and release a photo and video based app? Because those are the most viral versions of it. Here are the upgrades with Sora this time around. Before, Sora was video only. Now it's video and sound. Really important at a fundamental level when it comes to the model, right? Google had that for a while. There are other apps that have had that for a while, which I'm sure you'll talk about, but it's important for parity that they're up to that level of features on the actual Sora model itself. The second thing is that it's better at physical interaction. So anything that has related to physics, body movement, interactions between people, it can do a better job of like making it look and feel realistic. They showed a video of somebody doing a kickflip, for example, which is a very complex movement, both in terms of body and physics and the movement of the board. And it looked decent to me, just to give you a sense of what they're doing. The third thing is that it is a standalone app called Sora, right? So if you imagine you have TikTok, you open up the Sora app, as long as you have your invitation, you start scrolling the same way you would on TikTok. There's a bunch of other small things, but I want to mention the most important thing, in my opinion, that they've released on this that no one else has done yet. Not X with Grok, not Meta with their AI thing, arguably a little bit, but not really. And not Google, definitely not Google, because they're having trouble shipping any kind of product, which is just crazy to me. They call it Cameo. Have you heard of this?
Oh, yeah. So I saw the OpenAI Sora 2 promo.
Tell me what you know.
And he was talking about Cameo, which is you can input yourself into the AI generated video. And I'm imagining Sam Altman, that was all AI generated, his whole image.
Yes, all of the images in that video that you saw, I think, were all AI generated.
It was so good that the reason Casey Neistat said so cooked or we're cooked is because this is what you would expect from a Hollywood studio. The movie kind of look of it was as if they were producing a movie, and if they're saying we have access to that power. You know, this was a long video, so I don't know.
Phone.
I don't know if people are able to make it. It was all horizontal, though. That's where I think they kind of went wrong. They should have did it vertical, right? Because I had no idea it was vertical. But in that promotion, which looked amazing, so beyond like, oh, the body movements are like realistic, it looked real. Yeah. It looked like it could have been a part of a movie preview. Cameo is just input yourself in there, and then they did talk about other people could be in your AI generated video production. So I didn't understand what that meant, but I'm assuming you can take your friend and how they look and make them a character or a person inside of your video that you produce using Sora 2. That's what I got. And I watched this right before I went on a run. So I wasn't taking it seriously. I wasn't taking notes. I just thought, oh, wow. Okay, cool. And I saw it because Casey Neistat's tweet. I was like, oh, damn. He said we're cooked. That's not good.
Especially for a creator like him, right? And this is why it's such an interesting thing. We've been talking about this for months now, actually probably for years now at this point. But it's finally kind of getting to that moment where it's like, okay, it's going to start spilling over into the mainstream in a very real way. Let me talk a little bit more about Cameo, and then I'll kind of back up and kind of talk about why this is such a crazy thing. Cameo is, like you said, your ability to put your likeness into a video, right? So you can still prompt the thing for something, but you can basically capture an avatar of yourself and put yourself into the videos because it's captured your avatar, right? So the way that it works is you go into the app, you click a little button on your profile, and you can have it capture. You go through a capture process where you blink your eyes, you look left and right, you go up and down. I think you maybe say a few things to like capture A, what you look like, but also B, make sure that it's actually you. And then what it does, it captures that your likeness into like this little digital version of it that it can then replicate when you start posting on it. So instead of like TikTok, if you've ever used TikTok before and pressing the plus button and recording yourself and saying, hey, I'm Benji. This is this is what's going on in the studio. This is what's going on at home, whatever. This is my coffee that I'm making. You basically go and you've captured your likeness, and then you can prompt the Sora app and have it say, use my likeness and put me in this scene.
And your voice?
I think it does use your voice too,
Okay.
because I had the Sam Altman thing. I didn't go that deep yet. It goes further though, because what you can do is your likeness becomes social as well. So it's not only that you can do it like with your friends, for example, but you can set your digital avatar to be any level of public that you want. So if it's totally private, it's just you that can make these videos. If you do it with your friends, your friends can have access to make videos with you in it and them in it. You can also make it totally public, is my understanding, which is that anyone can use your likeness to make videos of you in any way that you want, which is crazy. And that they want, not that you want. Now, there's other things as well which are crazy in here too, but I want to leave it at that for you to kind of tell me what your instant reactions are.
Oh my gosh. So I do have ideas about this. It's going to take me to a whole nother era, okay? A couple of years ago, I went to VidCon, and Daryl Eves, the guy that founded VidSummit, and he is, I guess you could say, a mentor of sorts to Mr. Beast. So this guy knows about the creator economy, knows about YouTube, and definitely understands content strategy and just what's going on. He has a lot of connections with not only creators like Mr. Beast and so many people that I know, but also like relationships with YouTube and leadership and all that kind of stuff. So he's always paying attention to what is next. And he told me about this IP. It's an interesting concept where the IP is kind of like public, meaning I don't even remember the character. He was just showing it to me on his phone. He's like, hey, Benji, there's this cartoon that is allowing people to make their own shows of this character. And it blew up into this crazy viral thing where people are making full shows with storylines of their own of this one character. And because of it, the character became mega famous. Okay.
Interesting.
And so my first thought is, why would you want to make yourself publicly available for Sora 2 users? But it's kind of like thinking about that example, maybe a smart thing if you are famous or there's something about you that is unique. And I'm not talking about your look or anything. I'm just saying maybe there's like characteristics about you that you could kind of ingrain into that, and like other people can make content. Now, of course, my mind also goes into the nefarious stuff, like taking your likeness, if you allow it public, and making dumb things or things that make you not necessarily look cool or presentable, or not around your brand. Yeah, things that you don't like. So I don't know. It's a risky thing, but you know what? It makes me think there are going to be people that run with this, that take it to new levels that we don't even understand. And so if you combine that with the fact that you can create yourself riding a dragon over the ocean, past like the islands of Ireland, that's what it looked like, and then make a movie on it. My next question is, how long of a video can you create?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about that. This is one. Let's get into the length thing in a second. I want to keep harping on the individual stuff right now, because here's my perspective on it. What's happening right now with the people who are maybe letting their avatars be used is that this kind of portends a future where you build up a relationship with an audience and you basically sell your likeness to some degree, or license your likeness out to other people for use in other things. You can imagine, for example, like brand deals working very well in this regard. The brand gets a version of you and you're like a digital representative of them, and they can have your avatar say what you want based off of some contract that you come up with one another, and you don't have to lift a finger. You just give them access to your avatar. That seems like the future that they're sort of doing. It's kind of already happening on Instagram, right? Like, obviously you have to be in the thing, but you can do like shared posts on Instagram and on YouTube right now. Like, that feels like it's kind of the future we're headed towards when it comes to these things, if these things can catch on, if people like the products, basically. There's an interesting piece of the Cameo feature, though, which is that, you have to give consent. So like, they give an example. I think they did Sam Altman as the one that they did in their full live stream. So like, you could do stuff with him and ask him to like promote some product or like do something silly or something like that. But they also had other people on the bottom.
Oh, is this the same Cameo? That's what Cameo was.
Yeah,
remember
it kind of
Cameo?
is.
There was a platform,
Cameo?
the app Cameo.
Yeah.
And you hired celebrities or people that were influential or just somebody that has like an audience to say things for you. And that's kind of interesting that they called it that in the function. I mean, I don't know if they bought the IP of that or whatever.
I think Cameo still exists. Yeah,
interesting.
no, but it's the same. It's a
Same
very
concept,
similar concept, right? And so they had other people at the bottom. One of those people, iJustine. So just as an example, creators are already getting involved with this type of thing very early. They're probably reaching out to people like iJustine as an example. And they used Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, as the example in the keynote. But they're sort of saying, oh, like you can jump into these different types of trends that are 100% digital now. There's no part of it that's like real to some degree other than like your likeness, which is just crazy. There's other interesting small things too, which I'll just mention before we kind of continue. And I want to get to the length thing here in a second, which is that if someone uses your likeness, you get ownership over that video just like they do. So you can delete the video. You can control the settings of that video and things like that.
You can delete it off of Sora.
Yeah.
But if it goes on to the internet, you can't delete that.
That's the big question, right? Is like what happens there when these things escape
There's
containment?
no like
it's literally like Pandora's
there's no
box.
digital police out there that's going to be policing this to the degree which a video can spread offline. You get what I'm saying?
The scale is too big for that to be something that's going to be easily done. In fact, I bet you what's going to happen is that there's probably going to be identification that happens on these other platforms now, and you're going to be able to kind of like Content ID, probably view all the videos with your face in it and pull them down. But it's just going to be such a huge scale problem that nobody's going to be able to manage that, right?
So when you sign up for this, you're really risking that if someone does create a piece of content with your identity on it, even if it's legal and agreed on, that it could like get out of hand. Like for example, you know, like you'll record something or you produce a piece of content and then it doesn't register the way you thought it was going to, right?
Of
The
course.
message was taken a little differently, maybe out of context. And then maybe you just didn't realize like, hey, I'm a little tone deaf on this note. And then boom, you like start getting canceled or it's just like not a good look.
Yeah.
And the thing is this, you can press the, hey, I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to like shut it down. I don't like it. But once people record it on their phone, I mean, the screen recording on iPhone's a good example. Like, boom, it's in someone's phone and then it's forever out there. Even if you like have, what do you call it? Like like, I forgot, there's a legal term where you can get it like taken down. I mean, you know how it is. Once it's on the internet, it's there forever. And so that is a huge risk, no matter what kind of safeties are involved, that I think it's not a risk that I think people should take lightly. But I know there's going to be creators that are like jumping in because I don't know. The reason I'm talking about this is because my first thought after just the fact that you can create an avatar someone else does, brand deals.
Yeah.
As a creator, I've done a lot of brand deals. My wife, in fact, is working on a brand deal right now. The problem is it takes work, takes time. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of bandwidth. And I know there's some creators that are not good at brand deals, but if they could get a digital version to do the brand deal messaging, the call to actions, and just be the whole video all like that, oh, they would jump for it right away, even if there's risk involved, because they're like, hey, if I don't have to do anything and it just goes out as a ad on, you know, TikTok, or it's a commercial that plays on YouTube videos, but I didn't have to do anything. All you did was kind of use my look and my personality and even my voice. Definitely there's going to be creators. So you could go from doing one brand deal a day. There's some crazy creators that do that, or one brand deal a week, to doing like 100. What if there's like infinite amounts of brand deals of your likeness? And guess what? Cha-ching, all day long, and you don't even know what the heck's going on. And then what about if your agent or management starts like saying, like getting permission? They're like, yeah, you sign off on it. Okay, cool. I mean, yeah, it could get kind of crazy for the people with the right personality, brand, and audience.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that you're talking about is that in the past, you know, the thing that was licensed was the content itself, right? They would, a brand would hire you, you'd make a video, and you might license them your content. They get a copy of it, they can post it to their channel, they can kind of do with it as they please. Maybe. That's like a very recent phenomenon when it comes to short form. In this case, the thing that's getting licensed is literally your identity, right? And your likeness. The thing that represents you to most people is the thing that goes out to these brands. And think about it from a brand's perspective, it's sort of their ideal scenario in most cases, at least in their minds, which is that they can make you kind of like a sock puppet, say whatever they want you to say, right? Like that's kind of what it is. The last interesting feature here when it comes to portrayal and police, and I think that you're right, that there's no way that you can contain the wild west of things that's going to happen. This is just what has happened in AI. It's what happened on the internet. It's what all technology does, which is that you can give, when you're creating your profile, your sort of a digital avatar, you can give it your own instructions of how it should portray you. So I think the example they gave is that one of the employees that had been using it said that they always had to be portrayed with a gold chain on at all times. So any video that anybody created with them always had a gold chain on at all times. Now that's a silly example, right? But you can imagine how you could start to craft that.
You can make something pretty cool with it. You could, like, that's what I meant. I think I said this 20 minutes ago. I said, you could create a brand for yourself because you can do anything with a digital person. So, I think this would be good to give context of why I'm paying attention to this, even though I'm not a big fan. And of course, I'm a vlogger, a daily vlogger and lifestyle vlogger, is because ever since crypto and the blockchain and NFTs, there was this kind of idea that we would eventually go into a fully virtual world. And I remember, the greatest name change of all time, whether it's good or bad, is Facebook to Meta, right? And if you think about that, the metaverse is crazy. We don't even talk about the metaverse anymore. But the idea and the vision of the metaverse was we would live in these digital worlds. And I always thought of, okay, the reality would be when people could afford access into the world. I never really thought about the actual production of that virtual world, right? I just kind of knew eventually it would happen. I would say this. The virtual world is actually being created way faster than the access to that world. And so that was my whole interest in paying attention to this stuff, because we were talking about Apple Vision Pro or some kind of AR glasses, something that give you, access. And we already had access to a virtual world through games. So when you play like Halo, or what's the really famous one mutually? Everyone did Fortnite. Did you play
Fortnite?
Yeah. Minecraft, but it's like a crappy digital world because it's kind of blocky. Kids love it. But what I'm saying, eventually it would be so lifelike, like the real life version. So
it doesn't even have to be lifelike though, right? It can just be immersive.
So fast forward now, 4 years after NFTs kind of were like all the rage, and now people weren't paying attention after the pandemic. Everybody wanted to get to regular life. Now we have this view of what that world could be, and the fact that as creators, this is why, find ironically the contrast to everything I just said, creators would benefit because their imaginations would create these crazy worlds. You look at what kids create in Minecraft. Well, now if they have Sora 2, and then they can put themselves in there, a realistic version of themselves, they could live in that digital world. And my thought was this: one day there's gonna be a musician that's playing their music in a digital concert, and all the people in the audience are digital versions of those people in this concert hall that maybe you even created. So not only as an artist can you create your branding, you could create the world around you too and what you do. So it could get crazy. You could even sing good in the digital world, even if you don't actually sing good, because I say auto tunes, which sounds old now, probably way better versions. You can kind of create whatever you want of yourself, even if you're boring in real life.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever heard about, I think it was Travis Scott that did a concert in Fortnite a while ago. That's a very good example of it. That was kind of the beginning of the discussions about the metaverse. And it didn't even
look that good.
It didn't even look that good. But again, the point to me is that it's the immersive part of things. It's crazy that you're saying this, because you're literally reading my mind about one of my favorite pieces of commentary. This is what I promised that I would rewind to after I got through the features, which is that after Meta released Vibes last week, one of my favorite writers, Ben Thompson at Stratechery, wrote this about Vibes. He says, one of the reasons why AI slop is so annoying, that's what people call AI sometimes if they don't like it, is paradoxically the fact that a lot of it has gotten so good. That means that when you're consuming content, that you have to be continually ascertaining whether or not what you're seeing is real or AI generated. So imagine going through TikTok, you're scrolling through, is this real? Is this AI? To be put in the terms of the article I just quoted, you might want to lean back. But if you don't want to be taken in or made a fool of yourself, then you have to constantly be leaning forward to figure out whether or not this thing is AI. He's using that metaphorical leaning back, being like, I'm relaxed. Leaning forward, meaning like I'm truly engaged. What this means for Vibes, and this is Meta's version of Sora, is the fact that it is unapologetically and explicitly all AI, and that's quite profound. It's a true lean back experience where the fact that none of it is real is a point of interest.
So you're more relaxed because you accept it and you're just like curious about it, and that it's not like a question anymore.
And he says exactly what you were saying. If Holtz is right, inspiration and imagination. I find it quite relaxing to consume. This is him talking about actually using the product in a way that I don't find almost any other feed on my phone. It's also notable that to the extent that AI is most compelling as a new feed, as opposed to extra content in existing feeds, is the extent to which Meta can profit. Very important. Should Vibes become popular, which is very much to be determined, that means that an entirely new source of inventory for AI-generated ads, for example, that there is one for AI-generated ads. Here's the last part before you respond. Third, and this is the part that got me very excited, my immediate reaction to using Vibes for the first time is that this is Meta's first VR product. Part of this goes back to the point too, which is that the fact that Vibes isn't asking me to distinguish between what is real and what is AI is another way of saying that Vibes is unapologetically virtual. More than that, however, Vibes felt like the first taste of what I wrote about in 2022's DALL-E, the Metaverse, and Zero Marginal Cost Content, which is basically saying that these things are going to converge over time, and the real world and the sort of metaverse that he's alluding to is basically going to become one, which is exactly what you're saying. Now, I'm curious because you have been chatting with me about this for a long time because of your experience using AI-generated video because of you're interested in it. Are you willing to talk a little bit about that and what your experience has been about that kind of a creative spark that you've felt?
So even though I'm number one real life content creation, so I have a daily vlog, I have a food vlog, and I actually believe it's going to grow more because this is the contrast to this digital world, okay? Not with everybody. Some people, though, are going to be obsessed with this stuff. In fact, just like kids started gaming all day, I think in Korea, I don't want to name the wrong country, but there's countries out there, probably including America, where kids are playing too much, okay?
Yes.
To the point where I think like there were some kids that had health issues and died. The same thing's going to happen. So I've been dinking around with it, playing around with the video generation apps, and it's crazy. I'm just like, before Casey was saying we're cooked, I was like, okay, if you can create this in an instant, right? Right now it's like 6 to 10-second videos. I was like, there's no way that this is not going to affect it. So that's why this whole AI only video platform that Meta's creating, Vibes, is really significant because some people will accept being in that world.
Exactly.
And it's actually kind of smart to just go all in with that so that when you go in there, you're not trying to think, is this real or not? You know that everything in there is not real. So it's just like, hey, let's see what people create. And there's going to be creators that take it to new heights. And so that's why the Sora preview, the Sora 2 preview to me was like, I also agree with Casey that cooked. Yeah. But what's my only question? My only question is this. Not about how real is it or, the Cameo and your identity and the IP or what creators are going to use it, what creators aren't going to use it. It's how long is the video? Because the Sora 2 video preview was about 2.5 minutes. But, they had a whole team working on it. Even though they said it's Sora 2, I take it with a grain of salt because they had experts and professionals and maybe even like Hollywood people kind of like creating it.
Yes.
What can the average person create and how long is that video? Because that determines what creators are going to have to compete with this content that's coming out of it. And then what creators are going to be safer, not safe, just safer, and potentially the strategies you need to implement to, like work around this.
Yeah, I mean, what you're getting at, right, is that this is basically a huge threat, in my opinion, for short form creators. This is what we've been saying about AI video for as long as we can possibly imagine. Now, there's a bunch of reasons for that, but one of the ones that you're talking about is that AI video right now is very limited by time.
Yes.
We listened to a podcast a few months ago.
Time meaning length of the video.
Literally length of the video. When we talk about short form, we literally mean less than a minute for most cases, right? Where the CEO of one of these major AI video generation companies is basically saying, well, one of the simplest things that we're trying to work on is making the video longer, but it's very hard given the current approach to making videos. It takes a lot of memory, a lot of time, a lot of energy, all of the basic ingredients.
When I use the video, the AI video generation apps, like my phone gets hot.
Yes.
Because it's processing whatever, to be able to create that video on my phone.
Or at the very least, it's connected to the network
Yeah,
and waiting for it to get back.
My cameras don't even do that anymore. And they used to back in the day when you would record long videos in 1080 back then. So it like kind of makes you think about that. And that is a limitation because if your phone dies, right, and that's what you're using, then you can't create content.
And so these gigantic, literally behemoths of tech companies are limited by the length of the video that these things are creating. I think less than a minute is a healthy way to think about what is like very reasonable, and even less than that in most cases, right? So you take the example of the announcement video. Well, that's a lot. First of all, they're the owners of the device, so they can do whatever they want, right? And they've got the experts.
No limitation, basically, for them.
No limitation. But secondarily, too, they're spending probably hours getting the prompt right for every single shot and cutting it together in every single way. Not to say that that stuff won't improve. It will, right? It'll take a little bit of time, but it will improve. But the first immediate impact of disruption that we're going to see is, of course, short form videos, right? I mean, there's a reason that the videos on those feeds are short form because it's the exact right format for the thing that people are using these videos for. And so to me, it's no questions that, number one, if this has any type of grab at all for people, that there will at the very least be competition with Sora and the feed that they're doing there, right? The other piece is that, like you mentioned, if you're creating these videos on these apps, those videos can get exported and sent out to other feeds as well. And that's just another creator that's part of the competition in terms of what gets attention on these platforms. And so that's kind of my final takeaway, which is that, if you're looking to find success, like the simplest way to do it is like go longer and like literally outrun the AI content generation machines. But like things are changing quickly, to your point, and like it's kind of crazy to see short form potentially be disrupted like this.
Yeah, I'll make two statements. Number one, how creators can compete against this, because as like the images that are created are so mind-blowing. Why wouldn't like a kid want to see it? Even grown people are just like, wow, this is kind of cool. And that they're going to get addicted, but it's short videos. So the easiest competition to that is longer. And so right now I just tested a 56-minute vlog out, and then that got 20 minutes average view duration. So that means people were watching my video for 20 minutes
on average.
On average. So some people watch it at the high end, some people maybe just like 5 or 10 minutes, but still the AI tools can't compete with that. And guess how long it took me to do that? An hour or whatever, right? Yeah. But for and zero cost really, other than the tools I already have. So that's number one. Get good at recording longer videos that the AA can't replicate or compete with without spending a lot of time or taking too much effort or technology. The second thing is more of kind of like I want to make a theory, or like I want to make a hypothesis. What is it? Like
hypothesis.
I think this is what's going to happen. AR, augmented reality. Mm-hmm. See, what I actually think is more fascinating is the world around you being virtual and the AI tools creating that, but you're real. So you're recorded in that world, and that can be related to like AR glasses. So the Apple Vision Pro, I actually think that's going to be the future, because what do people want the most? They want something that is real. They're okay with watching something, but like the real thing, like for example, there's a reason there isn't virtual reality sports.
Yet.
because people like the unknown, right? Like this live streaming. People like that they don't know what's going to happen.
For sure, yeah.
But you can really pizzazz it up with that thing. It's kind of like Space Jam, you know, the movie Space Jam.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that was like a virtual world, and then Michael Jordan was is it? But if Michael Jordan was also like fake, right? It wasn't really him. Now, obviously, he was acting. My point is that it's going to be like that. The world around him was all created in a production sense, and then he was real. I actually think that's going to be the future of this technology and for creators. But guess what? You still want to know how to show up on camera, talk naturally, entertain, educate, do all those kind of things. I think these tools are going to be really interesting to do what like took a long time for you to create. Like this studio took a certain amount of time to create, but with these tools, boom. So I could be in a dingy little apartment with just my microphone, or like you might not be able to see it, but then boom, I could turn this studio into a real thing. So that's kind of my thought for the future. And, you know, that might have been like previous to today, 3 to 5 years out. That might be like a year or two out, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Zuck has been talking about a lot in terms of the metaverse. Like, that's kind of his vision, so to speak. And so that's one reason why I read from Ben Thompson's blog there on Stratechery, talking about how Vibes was a manifestation of what he calls Meta's first true VR product. And of course, to the next degree, almost speaking to what you just said, Sora allowing you to capture identity in basically an avatar and having that be part of this virtual world is just on your phone screen rather than in glasses. And like we said, I think right now the immediate impact for creators has to do with what their strategy is in the short term about how to kind of outrun these kind of tools that are being built. And this is just another pebble on the scale when it comes to thinking how short form, in my opinion, is becoming more and more competitive and a little bit harder and harder to deal with.